Hey crew, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun scroll saw project video, we are going to be making our first Easter design of 2026. Now Easter is right around the corner, and you guys know I always love to bring Easter themed scroll saw projects to the YouTube channel each and every year when Easter rolls around. Spring has officially sprung, my friends. The days are getting so nice, nature is blossoming back out, and you guys know when it comes to the Easter holiday, I like to focus on both sides of the holiday itself. Now of course you have the fun and fanciful side of the Easter holiday with the Easter bunny, the Easter eggs, the Easter basket, nice clothes and things like that. But then you have on the flip side of the coin the true, honest, religious, and very real and true meaning of the Easter holiday with the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So our first scroll saw project video for Easter 2026, I'm going to focus on the fun and fanciful side of things, and then we'll focus on the more meaningful side of Easter in the following videos. But this is an older Steve Good design. I've already got it printed out to its full size, cut out, prepped, and attached to our material with clear packing tape. And here is the design. A nice, as I said, the fun and fanciful side, Easter bunny with the words Happy Easter on the bottom. We're going to go on stack cut 2 of these out of 1/4 inch plywood. You can see there it indicates on Steve's pattern you download to cut this project out of 1/4 inch material, although you could of course cut it out of 3/4 inch material to where you could put a base on it and it could stand on a shelf, desk, or countertop. But once we get everything cut out, we will use the washer technique on another piece of 1/4 inch material I have here and make a perfect backer board. That way it can hang on a wall during the Easter months and Easter holiday. The Easter bunny is an iconic fixture. Every Easter Sunday before Easter service at church, when I'm getting ready, when I'm shaving and everything, I will have on the classic timeless tale of the Easter bunny is coming to town with the Easter train and everything. I guess that's why I gravitated to that show so much when I was little, because it had the train in it and everything. But it tells their interpretation of how the Easter bunny came to be and how he was named Sonny and everything. Of course, during the Easter season, you can of course get photo opportunities with the little ones with the Easter bunny. You can of course go out and do the traditional Easter egg hunt. At our home church, way back when I was little, we always had an Easter egg hunt followed by a nice little Easter cookout, and everyone was always searching for the elusive golden egg. I never found it when I was little, but of course jelly beans is one of my favorite candies, and they were always in the Easter baskets. I also remember being fondly looking forward to Easter Monday or Easter Sunday before church and getting the Easter basket, because the Easter bunny did indeed come to town in our household. But really cool. You have a nice little Easter bunny here with his floppy ears sitting around some appropriate and specially decorated Easter eggs here. That one has a star in the middle. Of course, we'll take our time and let the blade do the work to cut out all these details, and then the word Happy Easter there at the bottom. We're going to cut everything out as intended, and I'll probably add a splash of color to this project with those acrylic paint pens we have been using in previous videos. And then we'll probably spray paint the backer board here a nice green color to simulate the grass of the Easter bunny, of the Easter baskets, you know, the grasses in those, and also just the springtime floral decor and everything, and put some nice colors again on this one here. Really looking forward to cutting this project out. We made a bunch of Easter themed scroll saw projects last year. Remember, we made this little Easter bunny here that can hold a special Easter egg. So a great little way to display something on a shelf, desk, or countertop. But since everything is pretty much prepped and prepared, let's move the camera so we can draw all the pilot holes required and get the Easter season started properly over at the scroll saw over here on the channel. Let's get started. And over here on the workbench, we're going to take the Seiko Scroller's drill and a tiny drill bit and drill out all of the pilot holes for internal cutting. And there is a lot of details on the individual Easter eggs. And you'll note that I have a backer board behind the scroll saw work to prevent blowout of the pilot holes on the reverse side. But after all of the pilot holes are drilled out, we will head over to the Rikon scroll saw and begin scrolling. For all of the scrolling on this project, I'll be using a number 5 Ultra reverse tooth blade, and it will cut through both layers of 1/4 inch material here exceptionally well with a minimal chip out. As always, I'm beginning with some of the central details and working my way outwards. I only need one of the design here, but as I said, I like to stack cut so that the piece can be supported during the scrolling process in some of those more small and tedious areas that could potentially be fragile and break away. If you guys would like to try this pattern, it's available as a free pattern download over at Steve Good's scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com website over in his free pattern catalog. And if I remember correctly, he released this pattern back in 2020. Here at the close-up view, working on the Easter Bunny's face, and you can see me doing some of that veining work for the Easter Bunny's eyelashes after I do the interior cut here. And you know how we do veining work at the scroll saw. We just basically go into that dark cut line and back the scroll saw blade back out as carefully as possible. I'll do the same thing with the Easter Bunny's whiskers and his mouth here. And then I'll continue to work on the rest of the interior cuts, the Happy Easter quote at the bottom. Of course, I am taking my time and letting the blade do the work and being as loyal as I can be to the cut line. But we are in this video focusing on the fun and fanciful side of Easter with the Easter Bunny, the Easter eggs, candy, and Easter baskets and things like that. But we will focus on the serious side of the Easter holiday in future videos. I was just lost in my world of sawdust, thinking about Easter's past when I would wake up on Easter morning and I'd usually get a nice new set of clothes to wear to church, and I'd also get an Easter basket, and I was always eager to eat all of the jelly beans. Doing the final two internal cuts here on the Easter Bunny's big floppy ears, and then it will be time to do the outside release cut, which will release the piece from the waste wood. And to do that, we are simply following that long outside perimeter cut line. And again, just taking my time and letting the blade do the work as it is cutting through those two layers of 1/4 inch material. But not all of the scroll saw work will be complete. We'll still need to cut out the backer board. Over here at the workbench, I'll remove the pattern and I'll take one of the Easter Bunny pieces and a washer and lay it on another piece of 1/4 inch plywood, and I'll trace around the perimeter, and this will give me a perfect 1/4 inch border all the way around. Hopefully that shows up well on camera, but we'll go over to the Rikon scroll saw for the final time to cut out the backer board. And this is just one single piece of 1/4 inch material. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to the channel and also follow me across all my social media platforms under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. But now we have our visual of what the finished design will look like, and it is time for sanding with 180 grit Klingspor Woodworking Shop sandpaper in the vibrating palm sander. And I'll be very careful sanding the actual Easter Bunny piece here with small circular motions. I didn't want to break or chip anything off. But now we can begin adding some color. In the backer board, we will spray paint a nice grass green color to represent the spring grass. And while that is drying, we'll take the actual scroll saw work over to the workbench, and I'll quickly blow off all of the sawdust and get out the acrylic paint pens and start adding color. And I will not show you all of the painting process. I feel like that would be boring to watch, but you can add as much or as little color to the project as you want to. And I'm just basically highlighting all of the details here with some bright springtime and Easter colors. And what I love about these paint pens is they basically dry pretty much instantly once you get done with everything. But after I was happy with it and both pieces were completely dry, I glued the pieces together with medium grade CA glue and activator from Klingspor Woodworking Shop. And even though the glue basically dries and bonds instantly,
I still like to use spring clamps to help hold everything in place while I spray the activator, and it accelerates the drying time for the glue to cure. But after around 5 minutes, I came back and removed the clamps, and it was ready for finishing. And for a finish, I used a few coats of Rust-Oleum clear gloss, and it really made the colors and the grain textures of this beautiful Easter piece pop.
And here we have the completed Happy Easter Easter Bunny design, cut out completely over on the Rikon scroll saw from start to finish, and it finished up beautifully with some nice springtime and Easter themed details in it. I want to once again thank Steve Good for another beautiful and creative design from his pattern catalog. I believe he released this design here in 2020, so please be aware of that if you go to the pattern catalog and you want to download it and try it for yourselves. It took me around 45 minutes to scroll everything out completely from start to finish over at the Rikon scroll saw. It's not an overly complex design. As a matter of fact, it's a fairly straightforward scroll saw pattern, but you do have some small and tedious details in this project, so you need to, of course, take your time and let the blade do the work and be as loyal as you can be to your cut line. That everything came out nice and crisp here. I attribute that to the number 5 Ultra Reverse Sharp Tooth scroll saw blades that I like to use. But you have the collection of Easter eggs here, the word Happy and Easter here, Happy Easter at the bottom, and then of course you have the animal of the season, the Easter Bunny himself. And I painted a lot of the details with the acrylic craft pens we have already used in a couple other projects, and I think it adds a great characteristic to scroll saw and laser projects. You can see how I just done some of the perimeter lines to highlight everything, like the pink in the Easter Bunny's ears and his pink nose here, but then I went with some nice pastel and springtime colors for the Easter eggs themselves, in a red and yellow for the quote and name Happy Easter at the bottom. And you can see that the project also has some veining in it. Of course, we know how to do veining over at the scroll saw. That is indicated by boulder lines on the scroll saw pattern you attach to your material, and you basically just take the scroll saw blade into that line and back it back out as carefully as possible while it's still running to create that beautiful and visual line of detail, like the Easter Bunny's eyelashes and his whiskers and happy springtime smile there. But really, really cool. The Rust-Oleum clear gloss we used at the end really made everything pop and the grain textures stand out. Of course, you could have totally painted the Easter Bunny himself, but I wanted to leave some of the natural wood showing so some of the wood grain would shine through. There's always options and versatility with each and every pattern you come across. And because we stack cut 2 of them out of 1/4 inch material, we have another one to finish off camera, or I can pass along to a fellow woodworking friend, and they can finish it however they see fit in their garage or workshop. Or I could paint the whole thing here or stain it. Of course, you don't have to add any kind of color to it. You could use exotic or hardwoods. You could cut it out of thicker material, as I said at the beginning, and put a base on it to where it could sit on a shelf, desk, or countertop. But I cut it out how Steve Good intended, with a backer board here, and we used the washer technique to get that perfect border all the way around a 1/4 inch perimeter border all the way around. And I thought green. I asked my mom when I was prepping this, I was just asking her out of curiosity, what would you do for the background? And she said, hey, do green for springtime and the grass and the Easter baskets you get on Easter morning. So I think everything came together beautifully here. Of course, if you wanted to cut it out of exotic or hardwoods, like I said, you could totally do that. And this is such a creative pattern. You could also import it over to laser engraver softwares and laser cut these. You could batch these out for an Easter Sunday class to where everyone could decorate one of them however they see fit. But again, the Easter Bunny is a main focal point of the Easter holiday. But now, after this video, we will transition into the more serious and real side of the Easter holiday, as I said at the beginning of the video. But I always like to make and bring to life an Easter Bunny themed project. Like I said at the beginning of the video, we previously made this one here. I think we made this one last year, where you can display an Easter egg. This is also an older Steve Good design, so please be aware of that. But you can just make so many spring and Easter themed projects over at the Scroll Saw. Just think outside of the box a little bit. I know Steve Good, where I got this pattern from, and the one I just showed you, he has a plethora of Easter and spring and religious themed patterns that you can bring to life in your garage or workshop. But I wanted to make something for the Easter Bunny because, again, every Easter Sunday morning when I'm getting ready for church and relaxing and having my coffee, I watch the Easter Bunny is coming to town. If you've never seen it, seek it out on YouTube. I do believe the full video is still up on YouTube. It's a very old, I think, Rankin Bass, you know, like the stop motion animation like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it is just an all-time classic. But really, really cool. I had a lot of fun in this video, and I hope you guys like watching me bring the Easter Bunny, the Easter eggs, and the quote at the bottom to life visually over here on the YouTube platform. Easter Bunny is coming to town, my friends. He is hippity hopping his way into town to give Easter baskets to all of the youth on Easter morning. But really, really cool. That's going to about wrap it up for this one. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social media feeds will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, crew, and remember, if I can make it or do it, so can you guys. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Happy Easter, take care, and I'll see you all real soon.